computer. Welcome to another episode of the Out of Home Insider. We're bringing you tips, tricks, and insider insights on how to maximize your advertising, ultimately to become more efficient and a better business overall. I'm Tim Rowe, I'm your host, and today I've got a very special guest for you here. This is Dane Seville, and if you're in the automotive space, you already know who he is. If you're not, you're going to learn a lot from him today, regardless of whether or not you have a car dealership, regardless of what type of business you have. Is a wealth of knowledge that you can practically apply today, tomorrow, to immediately see results. So without stealing all of his thunder, I'm going to welcome Dane here. Dane's from Reunion Marketing. You guys are in North Carolina?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. Have you guys always been based out of North Carolina? Is that home base for Reunion?
Yeah. So 5 of the 6 co-founders, we actually all worked at a 33-store automotive store group here in Raleigh. Our CEO was the marketing director there for the last 3 years of his tenure that we were there. Increased revenue, I think it was like from $800 million to $1.4 billion. One out of every 4 cars were sold with this automotive group by the time his tenure was done. So you gave me such a great introduction. Now I'm gloating about him. But I was grateful to be part of that team. So so since inception about 4.5 years ago, Reunion's been in Raleigh.
That's pretty awesome. So coming from experience like that, you got 33 stores to account for. It's easy-ish. It's easy-ish when you have one store to worry about. Doing it for 33, how many stores do you work with now? I'm sure that the experience of working with 33 stores really equipped you guys to be able to scale quickly and provide that same level of service. But how many stores are you working with now?
Yeah, so we're a little over, I think, 220 stores.
Right. And are you strictly franchise dealers, independent dealers, a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I would say probably majority are franchise dealers, but we do have a lot of independent dealers as well. And we're actually focusing on growing that. I don't want to dive into the weeds here, but specifically our newest social media platform would work really well for independent dealers. So we're actually starting to dabble more into that because the service really speaks to their business model. Now we're really trying to make a push towards that as well.
So that makes sense. So you guys as a company, you're adapting to the market, adapting to the needs of the consumer, ultimately dealer principles across the industry, whether it's franchise or independent. And that's really what this conversation today is about, is adapting to new technologies, new understandings of things that are sort of established. And SEO is a sort of buzzwordy type thing that gets thrown around and maybe a little bit too loosely. If you could, Dane, condense down, what is SEO? If you had to explain it to a 6-year-old, how would you explain what search engine optimization is?
It is tailoring. Well, I'm going to talk to a 6-year-old, so tailoring probably wouldn't work either. Making your website so that people can find you.
That's such a great summary, because that's really what sparked my thinking about this. Was I had passed a great billboard campaign, and it was actually before I started working in the outdoor industry. I passed it and was looking for a place to go out to dinner, and the creative really stood out to me. It used some of the landscape with it. It had a great tagline, and I was looking for a place to go eat, and all I could remember was the tagline. I was like, what the hell's the name of that restaurant? So I just typed the tagline in, thinking, of course, I'm going to find the restaurant. Would you guess? Nothing that even came back to that. I thought, gosh, this seems like a missed opportunity. The client's spending a lot of money in this big, expansive campaign to be out there.
Yeah.
And they got me to do the thing they wanted me to do, which was look them up. But ultimately, I couldn't. So when focusing on SEO, is it to help people that are looking for a product or service that maybe you offer? Is it helping those people to find you? Does it create new type of search activity, or is it really just redirecting people that are looking for what you provide and making sure they find you?
So it's sort of like the whole gamut. I mean, it's from people who have, had a friend recommend if let's talk specifically about a restaurant, since you were just talking about, if a friend recommended that restaurant, they Googled the name of the restaurant. If it serves a certain type of food, like steakhouse near me, whether it's even pricing or specials, steakhouse specials in Raleigh, North Carolina. So there's like from just beginning to understand like what you might be interested in, and to the actual brand name of it. Now, since we work with more automotive dealerships, I could probably speak with a little more clarity to that. So it's like whether you're just starting to look for new or used cars, used Honda Civic, new Honda Civic near me, used Honda Civic Raleigh, North Carolina. So you're just beginning that customer journey to now you're thinking about, okay, I've looked up the different specs and stuff. Now it's, Honda Civic price, Honda Civic lease Raleigh, North Carolina, and now you're sort of in the middle there. And now it might be that, now you've done your research and you go, okay, I wrote down, 3 dealers that really spoke to me based on what I saw on their About Us page or this or whatever, however they visited the website, visit different pages. Now they go, okay, now I'm going to Google, Dane Seville Honda or, Reunion Marketing Honda. And so it's really just covers that full gamut from discovery to ready to purchase.
Okay, great. So really you can structure an SEO strategy around wherever folks are in the funnel. Now, is it a replacement for search engine marketing? If somebody's looking, it sounds like some of those keywords and terms might be things that we also bid on as well. Do the two complement each other? Do they work together? Is that best practice?
There is a lot of synergy. And so what you need to understand is, one, for specific keywords, is there competition? So if, like, again, I'm going to go with automotive just because that's sort of our deal. And this would work for any business though. So let's say I own a Honda store and I go, okay, I won't push my, the Ridgeline for, this next quarter. And so, I would just Google, 2019 Honda Ridgeline, Raleigh, North Carolina. There would be people bidding on this, but I'm just saying, if you Googled that in your market and there were no ads for that and you're in those top spots organically, then there's kind of no purpose for you paying for that keyword. If, however, you have maybe the top 2 spots, but your competitors have that top page search listing, that absolute top impression share they're getting there, then you would want to compete, because even though the majority of clicks go to organic listings, you don't want to miss, like, the people that click on those paid search results are a little more ready to buy. So you don't want to miss out on that market share. I mean, why would you give that up? Just because, you want to avoid, increasing your budget a little bit that you might have, just like, with like, your brand, your own brand name, that's going to vary based on, are people bidding on it? Is your name eponymous with the town that you're in? If that's the case, then, you want to take a look at the market and see what those Google search returns are. So there is a lot of synergy. SEM, paid search definitely has a place for any business, but it's going to kind of depend on your market conditions, what you see in those search results, and how you're performing organically. So it's sort of like a myriad of things that would determine that.
And you used a word earlier to tailor it. And it sounds like that's really, that there's not just a cookie cutter approach to this, that it can vary depending on your brand, where you are, maybe the name of the dealership. So it's not a one size fits all approach. Is that a fair statement?
That's definitely fair. In fact, my latest webinar was called "One Size Doesn't Fit All," so that kind of it kind of fits the mold. I mean, when you think about the way things are broken down, the way people search for things, and the way that we do it, and this is going to speak specifically to just SEM right now, just paid search right now, is that we make sure that accounts are so granular that if you Googled 2019 Honda Civic for sale, you would get one ad, and if you did 2019 Honda Civic lease, you get a different ad, because you have 2 different sets of expectations. Maybe with sale, you want to see what maybe that sale price is. You have different deep linking in the extensions. The copy and headline might be a little different. You definitely use like words like for sale, working in the geo, whereas lease, they might want to be interested in like, what is the monthly lease price? So you wouldn't want to have the same ad delivered for sale and for lease, because consumers have different expectations in terms of why they entered that search that specific way. So the big thing is one size doesn't fit all. So you want to tailor, you always want to meet customer expectations. And that goes from the ad, and then when they click through the ad, make sure that landing page experience is the exact same thing.
So do you see, from an advertising standpoint, SEM, SEO, do you see a lot of waste being created by using one ad for 2 different types of people, and 2, also not connecting that customer journey? It's easy to put an ad in front of someone that lines up with their search, but then it takes them to just the homepage of the website and they go, what the hell? This is what I was looking for. Do you find that there are dealers who are losing pieces of their investment, essentially just wasting money because of things like that?
Oh, 100%. And that's SEM and SEO. So I'll try to give a succinct 2-part answer to that. With SEM, yes. And, it's a matter of, again, delivering on those expectations. If they have an ad and they search for a specific vehicle and you land them on a generic specials page, or you land them somewhere where they have to use your search widget, to then get to what they wanted, they're not gonna take their time to do that. They're gonna bounce. Once you fail to deliver on expectations, that's a lost customer. Actually, this will be a 3-part answer. The second thing is, right now with responsive search ads, so Google, that's a relatively new thing, but we don't predict it's going anywhere. So responsive search ads is you have 15 headlines and 4 description lines, and Google sort of selects from those 15 and those 4 headlines and description lines that best match the search. That's 43,600 plus combinations that they can choose from. Based on
just from 15 headlines, 4 descriptions.
4 descriptions, because it mix and match any which way for those searches. So what a lot of people aren't doing is a lot of people, number one, a lot of agencies aren't prepared for that, and they're not really implementing best practices for that. Be careful, because expanded text ads can look like responsive search ads. They'll have like the 3 headlines, the 2 description lines, but they're not really responsive search ads. So to be able to tell that, you want to Google similar variations of the same search and see if the same ad gets delivered over and over again. If it doesn't tailor to the search, then it's likely expanded text ads. You want to ask your agency partner or internal team about that. Now, the important thing about that is when you don't tailor to the experience and you're not getting the click through, the landing page doesn't match that experience, you're affecting your quality score. So your quality score is determined from 5 different factors. I don't know if I remember them all off the top of my head, but it's like click-through rate, ad text relevance, landing page relevance. I know I'm missing one, and historical ads account history. So when you're not really tailoring those ads, you're not really giving that experience that customers want, and customers are bouncing off your page quickly, not clicking through on your ads, you're going to have a lower quality score. Now, the importance of that is that if you're a dealer or a business and your ads have a quality score of 3 and your competitors have a quality score of 6, you're going to bid twice as much to be competitive for those searches in paid search than that other company. So to answer your question in that first regard, that's where we see a lot of waste, is not only, not capitalizing on Google products and innovations. So we see a lot of quality scores averaging 3s and 4s. I think don't quote me on this, I think our agency averages like an 8, at 7 or an 8, maybe even a 9.
So Dan, if I could just interrupt you to crystallize what I think you just said, I want to make sure I understood correctly. Was that if your agency average right now is an 8 quality score, and let's say mine is a 4, that if we were spending the same dollars, your investment would go twice as far.
Exactly.
So you can, without even spending more money, increase someone's effectiveness by just making sure the ship is tight and we're blocking, tackling, and doing all those. Now, would that perpetuate too? So if I was at a 4 and you're at an 8 and I continue to overbid and I'm still not working on the fundamentals behind the ad, would my quality score continue to get punished, and eventually I'm just spending more and more money as that score continues to go down?
So that's like the whole gist. Like that's sort of the synergy between all of SEO and SEM too, is that making sure that where your ad lands, landing page where your ad takes them to, your URL structure, your metadata, the headlines, the text, everything should speak to what they saw in that ad. So you're optimizing the page, SEO, you're optimizing it not only to be ranked, but then also to provide a user experience that aligns with what brought them to that page in the first place. The other place where we see a lot of, and kind of circle back, I should stop there. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
The other thing that people need to be wary is, and this is changing in automotive, I don't know about other industries so much, but we're a flat fee agency for paid search.
What's that mean?
So the reason we would offer let's say, we have different tiered packages. I'm just going to throw a number off the top of my head. This isn't like a number we really offer, but let's say we say, okay, we're going to charge you $1,000. It's $1,000 a month, or let's say $500 a month, like management fee. So manage the account, it's $500. Let's say you have a budget of $10,000, okay? That we're going to get paid $500 no matter what per month. That's flat fee. So there's just one fee per month.
And the $10,000 would be true spend then? True spend.
Okay. The opposite of that would be the commission-based agencies, where you have a $10,000 spend, but or I shouldn't say $10,000 spend, but how much you spend influences how much they make. So they make a percentage. It's not a flat fee. They make a percentage of your monthly budget. So what that does is, let's say your agency comes to you and goes, you know what, man, you got to spend $5,000 more a month to make sure you're competitive for these keywords and these ad sets. they're a commission-based agency. Are they unless you really know how to dig into the data, are you really certain that you need to increase your spend if they're commission-based? Because that means they're making more money. So we do flat fee rate, and we suggest everyone works with flat fee rates, because even though you go, oh my God, that's definitely going to be $500 I spend every month, that's what it is. Our decision making is independent of your budget. So that's where we also see a lot of ways too, where agencies and snake oil salesmen will convince someone to work with their agency, and their decisions are based on more money for them to make, and not necessarily the person's best interests.
Yeah, listen, I worked at one of those agencies. It wasn't not a knock against the agency, just more traditional media mindset and making a percentage. But for me, that was a fundamental conflict, because the workload didn't change if you spend $1,000 or $10,000. We're doing the same amount of work. Why should I take, on $10,000? Why should I take $1,500 when I was only taking $150 at $1,000? Did my cost of goods change? Did the scalability change? It hadn't. So maybe if we walk through an example, let's just use that $10,000 budget and working with you guys. Let's just say it's $1,000 to work with a $10,000 budget, and you've got that great quality score, and your ads cost half as much as mine. So if you have $10,000 with Reunion Marketing, you're spending $1,000 to have a professional team manage it, truly like a portfolio manager would in an investment type scenario, right?
Yeah.
You're measuring, you're monitoring all these things and making the best call based on what's best for the client. You don't have an influence that's dollar-based. So $10,000 budget right off the top, right? So $10,000 and $10,000. And in my scenario, I take 20%. So I'm taking $2,000. Your actual spend is now $8,000. So right out of the gate, I've still got $10,000 with you, but let's say I took that out to $1,000. So we're at $9,000 spend, right? Once I've paid you guys, and then I'm at $8,000 with the other guys. If I'm at $8,000 with the other guys and they're only half as good as you, then I would need to spend $16,000, $17,000 with the agency that's ripping me off just to be at the same level of quality as working with somebody like yourself.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Yeah, sort of like fundamentally, yeah. It would be, we make sure that every dollar is maximized to its fullest potential. To circle back, and not to get off this topic, but to circle back about wasted spend, you're talking about, wasting an investment. What we see with a lot of agencies too, and I shouldn't say a lot, there are actually a lot of great agencies out there. So I don't want to like generalize and say a lot of agencies are terrible. There are some agencies, and it's getting fewer and fewer, because there are honestly a few players in automotive that, we actually get along with our competitors. Like most of our competitors we get along with because we know that they do have best interests at heart for their clients. Do we think we're better? Of course we do. But, but there are some, like I said, there's still agencies out there, SEO agencies. I'm sure this applies to all industries. So for example, they focus on they'll push a certain metric like traffic to your website. We're gonna increase your traffic 2,000%. So we got this one dealer in Naperville, just outside of Chicago. This other agency, we fix things. So I'll get to what happened. So we fix things, and traffic's down. And these guys, this dealership, wait, guys, our traffic's down 20%. What's going on?
Traffic to the website, not to the store.
Traffic to the website, yeah. So what happened is as we dug into the analytics, this previous agency, they were getting traffic. So they're a Chicago dealer. They're getting traffic from Miami, New York, San Francisco, Boston. They were getting traffic from people that are not going to buy from them.
Sure.
So we fixed it when we put in their geos, we fixed their directories, and we worked in we called them model conversion pages. It's like a mini research page where you can take some action, see inventory. We worked the geos in on that. And so, yeah, your traffic overall is down 20%, but your traffic in your geos, your traffic in Chicago and Naperville and, other suburbs is up 75%. So, you got to look at it where it's you don't just look at the overall trends. Even if you're not, adept at analytics, you can still, it's easy to click on it's literally acquisition tab, source medium, see where it's coming from. You look at geos, you don't have to be an expert to, 1-2 clicks. You can look on go on Moz.com for their guides, or even Google offers how to do this. But it's don't necessarily look at just holistic numbers. Really pay attention to more the nitty gritty. And like I said, it's not that hard to kind of dig into that at a high level.
So we've definitely identified that there's differences between what makes a good agency good and maybe a lesser agency not as good. Not to throw any punches, but what would you say for an automotive dealer? The three things, if they're considering SEO, what are the three things that they need to know or need to ask the agency they're considering? What are the three things that a dealer needs to know about search engine optimization? Is it how this fits into your campaign? Is it something more technical that would require a certain level of expertise? What are those three things, if you were just giving advice, that they should look out for?
First, I would ask if does your SEO package include Google My Business?
Why is that?
Google My Business is like your new gateway to the website. It's almost like a new website for your company. Google My Business has your hours of operations, your calls to action, phone number, website, directions. It has pictures which you want to update and manage. It has reviews that you can respond to. Now it has like products. I think we're kind of testing that now, so you can kind of put inventory on your Google My Business. So it's a place where people go to engage, to look at a number of things. Part of that too is best practices of GMB. So not just are they managing your GMB, are they managing it correctly? So you should have a different listing for, if you're a dealership, for your sales and your parts and your service. You should have different listings because they have,
within the Google My Business listing, they should be separated.
there should be separate listings for that, because people that are looking for sales, like your service center has different hours than your sales, your parts, they have different phone numbers. There's a number of reasons for why you want to have that different, because you're getting sort of like different customers. So again, you want to speak to them again on that individual level. Like if I'm a service customer, you give me like your service hours, service phone number, so on and so forth. So making sure that they're managing your GMB. So that's also important because your GMB as a directory, consistency is key too. So where you start with your GMB, you can then sort of replicate your phone numbers, your address and everything across your other directories, Yellow Pages, so on and so forth. There's, dozens of them out there. The important thing too is, and this would be a quick pointer and not necessarily part of the question, but just as a key for anyone that, is interested in SEO, the way that you have your address listed on your website, let's say you're on South Main Street. If you do SWS.Main on your Google My Business, all your directories, it should be S.Main. You need to have that consistency. Consistency actually helps Google recognize you as being more authoritative, consistent, delivering on, you're showing that your attention to detail. So actually having that consistency actually helps with your directories having authority and ranking and things like that. So Google My Business, is that part of your SEO package, is something that I would ask. The second thing would be is also, if I'm going to work with you, does your SEO include CRO, conversion rate optimization? So you don't want to work with an SEO company that just brings traffic to the website. I shouldn't say anyone, but a lot of agencies can just bring traffic to the website. But that traffic isn't converting, then what's the use of bringing them to your website? So, does that SEO company also perform conversion rate optimization? Doing Hotjar testing. So Hotjar is like looking at behaviors on the website, seeing like where people are clicking the most, understanding consumer behaviors on the web pages. You can even record sessions and see what people do on your site. Colors and placement of buttons. Are you optimized for mobile? So on and so forth. So there's a lot of facets that go into conversion rate optimization that complements SEO and should be an integral part of that SEO package. So GMB, CRO, and that's a third question. This is a good question. Third top question would be, how do you report? Oh no, do you have a thought?
Yeah, I'm going to ask the question that you just made me think of from the first two things is, how is your agency set up to support doing all of those things for over 200 clients? Is it technology? Is it people? Is it an equal mix of both? How do you sustain that level of service? You talked about a lot of things that I think go well beyond even having come from automotive, that at least, from my experience, I don't remember offering anyone ever, because we didn't have the capability to do it. How are you able to offer that much? Is it the technology? Is it people?
It's a combination. So we actually 2 years ago, we had no idea we'd have an operations department. That was not a concept we had. It was, we're going to be people focused. We're going to have the right people in the right seats executing. And that's what we realized. We're like, at that point we're like at 140, something like that. And it's like, well, if we triple this client load, we're going to have so much overhead. We're going to like lose money. So we actually then we came up with our operations department. So we like to call it's like automation with human oversight. So you don't want to fully automate. You should never work with a company, I don't believe. Anyway, that's my personal opinion. You shouldn't work with anyone that just it's fully automated, because you still need human eyes on different things, optimizing, paying attention, making sure nothing breaks. So you should always have a human element to that automation. So it's a combination of those two things.
Great. Now with SEO, can it be like geographically specific? Like with SEM, I can say, hey, just this zip code. Are you able to do things like that and control, hey, I'm not getting somebody who's looking for a Honda Accord in New York City with my SEO? How do you do things like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a number of things. Like I said, we create like those model conversion pages. So for every model in your lineup, there's a specific page that has some description about the vehicle, like some emotive text, like talking about like what interests you in the vehicle in the first place, just kind of hitting on the emotion of buying. Then we have like some value props. What are some things that this vehicle gets accolades for that might interest you? Like, for example, if it's a muscle car, it'd be like, horsepower, torque, Cobra trim level option, it's like whatever it might be. And then within that page, within the headlines, within the URL, within the text, it's your geo. We've actually gotten so technical with it that we actually have sort of other, I don't want to call them sub pages, but pages that hit on your second geos and your third geos. So that way they're more relevant, more likely to rank depending on where those consumers are searching from. And that comes from communication with the dealer of like where they know they want to, what historically from sales and then also looking at search trends, where are people coming from. Then, within your home page, your About Us page, everywhere your F&I, your service page, get service in Raleigh, North Carolina, get your oil change here at Dane Honda in Raleigh, North Carolina. So you don't want to keyword stuff it. So you don't want to make it look like a bot created it.
Sure.
But you do want to strategically work in that geo here and there to, make sure that then you're getting that relevant traffic.
Makes sense. So you just made me think of maybe this is a good segue. Would you like to play along? I'm going to share my screen here, and we can do some billboard stuff. And I think this is going to be what you find pretty neat. I'm just going to see here. We're going to share, and I'm going to share. Which screen am I going to share? I think this one. So if you let me know if you can see my screen there, and I'm going to.
I can see it.
So let's see. We're talking in Raleigh, so I'm just going to bring up Raleigh. And see if this is going to run slow or fast, because let's try this one. There we go. So this is where this is a tool called Geopath, and Geopath is I don't know what the right word is, but outdoor companies, billboard companies, bus shelters, screens at the mall, they all got together, and Geopath is sort of the data auditor, but also this really cool platform where you can start to look at targeting for billboards. How it all works is it uses 6 different data sources to make sure the data is clean and up to date, obviously something you know a lot about. And then it uses mobile device ID data, just like the Waze app might, to see where people are going and things like that. So did you see that here? Did that just update?
Yeah. Yep.
So what I've done here is I said, all right, let's say I'm working with a Honda dealer, and I want to run a campaign that's designed for service. So I want to look for people that have a Honda, so make of any vehicle owned or leased. And what it's going to start to do is it's going to compare people that own Hondas in Raleigh, if that worked, let's just see, that doesn't look like it did, but in Raleigh, and it's processing a lot of data, so it runs a little bit sluggish. But let's say you said to me, Tim, I want to do digital billboards, and I want to do digital billboards for my, Raleigh's a pretty upscale, trendy city. You got interior walls, furniture, ceiling stuff that I could run on. Let's see, digital bulletins. There we go. All right. So let's just say I wanted to run digital billboards, and this is where it gets slow, is updating all of that inventory. I want to run digital billboards in Raleigh targeting people who own a Honda, and I want to be pretty intelligent. I'm a dealer on a budget, so I want to be most efficient with choosing which locations I actually run on. This is how, if you're working with a partner that works with Geopath, you can do that. You see it's processing over here on the right-hand side. And what it's doing is it's indexing every outdoor location in Raleigh, North Carolina against Honda owners right now. And once this finally does populate, that what we'd be able to do is look at the placement of maybe your dealership. We can look at all the Honda stores in the market and where those outdoor locations match up. So now you can start to craft a message. All right, I want to go after my competitor with a Honda service message. So I want these 3 billboard locations that are closest to my competitor that over-index with Honda owners. Or another targeting that you have, maybe you invest in third-party listing sites like Carfax or AutoTrader. So you've got a big, strong independent store and you are on Carfax and you want to target your $15,000 and less selection of over 200 cars to people that have been shopping on third-party sites. So this tool allows us to do that. I apologize, it's running a little bit slow. That's not uncommon for it to do. But is something like that, is a tool like this, is that valuable when considering an SEO strategy, an SEM strategy? I'm coming from the thought process of outdoor creates a lot of search. In fact, it creates more search dollar for dollar than TV, radio, and print advertising combined. So is something like this, a program like this, to come up with a way to drive more search activity, does that benefit an SEM or an SEO strategy?
Yeah, I mean, anything that sort of has a demonstrable ability to get people to remember and conduct a search, whether it was, the exact brand name, I mean, it just, if it hits on there, again, like sort of emotive advertising, you're talking about how that billboard that you saw for the restaurant really sort of struck a chord with you and you had to just find it, depending on the creative, even if it just stirs some sort of search for the specific make and model. Anything that can truly push people like into the funnel would be of value, because then, the more people that conduct searches, the more opportunities you have to get them on your website.
Makes sense. So, so keeping in theme, so I'm glad to hear that, because this is a tool that I got excited about as soon as I saw it, and just to help dealers be more efficient, because we know we still need to fill the top of the funnel, right? We need to drive people to go back and look for you to ultimately to find you. People are going to find you, if they're shopping for that particular vehicle, probably. But this tool would allow you to do something like that. So there's just some stats. But what would you do SEO-wise for something like this? If your client wanted to run a billboard that said, buy a Kia, get a billboard, is that showing up for you?
Yeah.
Cool. What would be an SEO strategy? We see they're in Charleston, Savannah Highway, buy a Kia, get a billboard. Would this be an SEO or an SEM campaign? How would you approach something like that?
First, again, like I said, there's complementary, so I wouldn't necessarily dive into SEM, but, Savannah Highway, making sure that is showing up on the website, making sure that the address matches the billboard, so that way they know that they're looking at the correct. So whatever you have on that billboard, you will make sure is sort of headlining on your website, so that way people don't go, wait, is this the dealership that I wanted to search for? Kia Country of Charleston, making sure that the brand name is headline up there. You could even potentially get a banner on the website that sort of replicates what you see there. We don't recommend a whole lot of banners, just because we did a study that just shows, I think it's like 6% of all homepage clicks go to a banner, and half that goes to just the first one. So you wouldn't want to do overkill, but that's a potential other strategy. So that way there's sort of some branding consistency from non-digital to digital. It's hard to say with SEM, because this isn't real vehicle specific. Like we target first, like more the low funnel searches. So it'd be like more like
price point type thing.
Kia Optima for sale, but working in that Savannah Highway, the Kia Country of Charleston, working in those different things. If a dealer wanted to go after high level, maybe mirroring something in the language about that, like you saw, or Kia, get a billboard, check out Kia Country of Charleston. I mean, but that would really be if, that'd be one of the last things we'd recommend just because it's so high funnel. But there are definitely some things SEO that you could sort of on the website once they get there to create some resonance.
Could you just thinking out loud, could you use SEO in this Charleston area? And then, like you had mentioned with the vehicle landing pages, could you have buy a Kia, get a billboard, shows up in the SEO, links them back to a page, gives them a place that they could convert. Hey, if you enter your information, it enters you to win, or could you use it that way?
You could come up with like a specialty landing page that aligns with that. So that way, if they went, buy Kia, get a billboard, and that's sort of like what they Googled, then, just to capture that traffic and make things relevant, you could have like a specialty landing page that could have like a lead form in there. But it will just kind of depend on, dealership goals and just, we'd have to take a look at what we could do, because, there's also limitations on, depending on what website platform they're on. So there are a bunch of variables, but yeah, I mean, there's a way to even, like I said, potentially come up with like a specialty page that has a lead capture form that, coincides with this non-digital sort of campaign.
Okay. I'm just going to scroll through a couple more. This was a pretty cool campaign for Mazda of South Charlotte. They had a number of these, and I think I've got a number one here, but this made for campaign. And it looks very tier one-ish, made for style, made for vacations. And this is really now getting into that campaign thought process. So let's say we used a tool like Geopath to target Mazda owners, or we knew that the people most likely to get a CX-5 are coming out of a Pilot. So we want to target Honda owners. And so it sounds like we could incorporate, and maybe we, and should, just as good out-of-home stewards for our clients, be having conversations with folks like yourself on the other side, Dane, where it's, hey, I'm a billboard guy. I work with the client on their outdoor stuff, but I know that all of my dealers have somebody like you sitting on the other side. It sounds like there should be some communication going on back and forth. Would that be beneficial for like you guys and everything that you're doing? If you were working with a dealer that worked with somebody doing out of home, would that be a healthy relationship to have for you?
I mean, that's with, anything from, whether you have a provider for SEO and a provider for SEM and a provider for traditional, provider for billboards, provider for TV, provider for SEO. Like anytime you're working with more than one vendor, it is in the dealer's best interest to have, cohesion and to have open communication among those vendors, because everyone should be working together on behalf of the dealer. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely benefit to making sure there's open lines of communication and shared sort of thought leaderships and creative for how we can make that a seamless experience for the consumer, because that's the benefit of the dealer.
Cool. So the next one I'm going to show you is a fun one for us in Out of Home. We call this a tease and reveal. If I came to you and said, Dane, my billboard guy came up with this awesome idea. I want to do this tease and reveal for the new model coming out, and I want this all to work together, create a ton of buzz. Let's get as creative as possible. This goes up for a month in the market. It doesn't say, I don't even know what's underneath there. Just says you deserve more this year. It's going to create intrigue. That's what outdoors designed to do, right? Evoke an emotion and drive a behavior and action. I'm going to go back to Google. Like, what the hell is this? What is you deserve more this year billboard? How would you best help me as the dealer if I said, I want to do this, I'm doing this, you need to make it the most successful thing? What things would you be looking for to connect the dots on the back end?
To me, I mean, the first thing I would do is I would replicate this with social media. I think social media, even before SEO, for me, would be where you really capitalize on this and promote through different channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I would definitely capitalize this on social media first and foremost. But then, again, because you want to have cohesion from, you have this ad on Instagram and they click through, I would have, again, I think this would require building out a specialty landing page with explain to them what they deserve, what sort of specials or deals or things that they're getting based as part of this campaign. And I would mirror a lot of the creative that you see here, in those ads. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It could, be different bow, different color, different wrapping, but still that same sort of tag connected to it. You deserve more this year. And then, when they get to the landing page, whether you say, like this is what you deserve, or you deserve this, or however you want to phrase it.
I'll show you the reveal. So then this goes up the month after.
Okay.
So it creates that anticipation in the market, right? You're driving past this thing every day going, what the hell is that? What does this deserve more? I don't know what it's for. And then, hey, happy Honda days. It's Scott Clark Honda.
I got you.
I apologize. I should have given that to you.
I got you. So during that month of the build-up, I think you could still do some social media ads to that.
Okay.
And then you just don't reveal it yet. It's like a countdown. And you can be like,
that's cool.
Some sort of countdown, like in 28 days, you're going to find out what you deserve. And, and you put a little dollars behind it, because once you get that page built, there's not really anything else except little updates. So it's not like you're reinventing the wheel. And then that gives your agency time to create that, really put in some thought behind making like a cool experience for that special landing page that you would then update those ads to land on. And then when it's like you deserve more affordability, then it's like that page shows all the different affordable options at Scott Clark Honda. So you can coincide that sort of build up with your different efforts where you don't reveal, you don't have that original specials page like I was talking about, because you're waiting for that build up for this billboard to go up. And then you coincide, like the day that billboard launches, your digital agency should be on, and that comes down to that communication. Your agency should then, okay, let's change this landing page and let's push this out to also, show them what affordability that they've deserved.
So that's pretty cool, right? So then you got this cool little billboard up in the market. People are looking for you. They're seeing you on social. They're going back to Google. You don't want to put all the money behind it, so maybe it's a modest SEO, the landing page. We're getting all these people, and maybe a small retargeting budget to keep those people, hey, 16 days to go, 15 days to go, it's here, it's time, and really creating excitement, which is sort of sounds a little bit outside of the box from what most dealers do. What would you say in 2020, what is the biggest, from an advertising standpoint, the biggest opportunity for a dealer? Is it to stand out? Is it to just tighten everything up on their website? What should a dealer be focusing on going into 2020 and beyond? Is it an opportunity? Is it just better fundamentals? What do you see, Dan?
And I don't want to limit it to just one thing, because it is a two-part thing, I think.
Yeah.
And that is number one, you said it, the fundamentals, making sure that you have a sound SEO, SEM, and social media strategy working on your behalf, that they're focused on quality score, driving the right traffic, and have a social media campaign that's more than just, one or two generic ads. And the second thing I think is really important, and we don't do it, but I think is important, and I've spoken on this at different conferences, is that branding. You're not just, that Scott Clark Honda. You're not just Scott Clark. You're not just a Honda dealership. You're Scott Clark Honda. I think a lot of dealers don't capitalize on who they are and like their community involvement and really differentiating themselves to be that franchise Honda dealership instead of just a Honda dealership. So I think there are a lot of agencies out there that would be the second part, because you can have all the great branding in the world, but if they can't find you and they get frustrated on your website and they can't really engage with you, all the great brand in the world is not going to make up for sloppiness elsewhere. So number one, be those fundamentals. Number two is, once you have those fundamentals, then that great brand to make people want to do business with you. And I think, a lot of dealers, so many dealers, and this isn't a crack against them, because, we're 4 years in business. We're proud to be 4 years in business. And dealers are like, 30 years family owned. That's great. Don't get me wrong. That's fantastic. But as a car shopper, who really cares? That doesn't help me.
You have the car I want. How much is it?
Right? And that doesn't really matter to me in terms of like, do I feel like I'm going to get hassled at your dealership? So like, the About Us page would be a great opportunity to have like a really cool video that goes around the dealership, meet the dealer principal. And I know staff can turn over, so you don't want to get everyone, but your long-standing employees, show them the business center, show them the service bays, show them the experience they're going to get. So branding yourself, I think, is a second thing that dealers absolutely should focus on in 2020 moving forward.
And it makes sense, and especially in that order. Make sure that your house is tight, and then we can go outside and play.
Yeah.
Right? Clean up.
Then you can think outside the box, and if you have a solid strategy already going just for your general searches and things that are coming in, then you can get creative and you can do that you deserve more sort of thing, because you have a team that is going to run a tight ship and is going to make sure they coordinate well and execute everything the way it should be done to make that campaign a success. So that's why I like that outside the box thinking shouldn't happen until you have your fundamentals really solid. But there's definitely room. I don't think enough dealers think outside the box, to be honest, and that's no crack against any dealers. But I love it when I see dealers doing things that I don't see often.
It's great, and that's an interesting point, especially being so close to it that it still stands out to you when a dealer does something different, right? Yeah. You see dealer stuff all day, every day. You're at all the conferences. It's what you live, eat, and breathe. But when somebody does something different, it still stands out. So how much does it stand out to somebody that isn't in it every day? An interesting statistic, I'll leave you with this, is 70% of drivers who drive over 300 miles a week recognize and acknowledge seeing outdoor advertising. Ad recall very high, 70%. 25% of people that drive over 300 miles a week will buy a car in the next 12 months. So if we know that they see it, and we know that they're going to buy it, and we know that it drives search, and we know that we've got great folks like Dane and the team at Reunion Marketing to tie it all together, sounds like a pretty good combination to really be more efficient, sell more cars, service more cars, own more market share without spending a bunch more money, because I'm sure you see that. Everybody's trying to do more with a little bit less. And I think that we've covered some pretty cool ideas on how to do that. Dane, if folks want to learn more about you, I know that the KPI Cafe, it's a totally pitch-free session of just great, valuable insight like this. Where can people find KPI Cafe? Where should they be following you on to get the best, most current stuff? And ultimately, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I like that shout out for the KPI Cafe. Take a lot of pride in it. Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel. So Reunion Marketing. If you go on YouTube, just type in Reunion Marketing. It's it's a playlist. We're up through 3 seasons now. So you'll see playlists: season 1, season 2, season 3. Season 4 will launch February 24th. I think that's a Monday. If anyone connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn, Dane Seville. Same with Facebook. Twitter, people can connect with me all sorts of ways. Dane at reunionmarketing.com, Dane Reunion on Twitter. So you just type in my name, you'll find me somehow. So I try to be everywhere.
It's the power of SEO, right, man? Put yourself out there. You're on the record. He's on the record here with the At Home Insider. Folks, if this has been helpful, I encourage you to share it with somebody that could benefit from the information, like, comment, do all of those things. All of Dane's contact information and the best ways to find him are going to be in the show notes. So whether or not you're seeing this on YouTube for the first time, listen to it in its podcast version later on, or even just seeing it as an ad somewhere on the internet, know that you can get in touch by just going and checking out the notes in the About Us or the More section of wherever you are. Dane, you got anything that you want to sign off on? Anything that you're focusing on? I know we mentioned KPI Cafe, new products, anything new coming out from Reunion we got to keep an eye on?
Yeah, no, like I said, KPI is sort of my baby. I sort of started that. So that, number one, that's my thing, growing that subscriber growth. I'd love to get to 1,000, because then you get a whole bunch of other things to play with on the back end of YouTube. But new things with Reunion, like I said, our intelligent social platform, we it's something that's innovative in automotive. No one else is doing it. It's up to 50 different ads based on different buyers, types of buyers, tailored messaging on every single ad. Your Tundra buyer is different than your Tacoma buyer. Your SUV buyer is different than your sedan buyer. And they using actual inventory, so using the actual inventory dealers have on their site, on their lot, using that. And then we're coming out with more robust fixed ops strategy to coincide with that. So that's the big thing coming up with Reunion over the next 2-3 months.
I mean, what more can you ask for? Folks, if you've listened to it this long, you got to go out and get in touch with Dane. You got to listen to more of his stuff. I've learned a lot here today. Hopefully you have too. Signing off for the At Home Insider, I'm Tim. That's Dane Seville, Reunion Marketing, right there. Check them out. You will not be disappointed. If you're looking to sell more cars, service more vehicles, if you are looking to reduce unapplied hours, whatever your goals are, it starts with the fundamentals. And we've talked about those here today. Ways for you to maximize your advertising in 2020 and beyond. I'm Tim Rowe, and we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.